Welcome back to OBTV News. I'm Hugh Jass. Well, it is now official. Tourist season has returned to the Outer Banks, and the tourists can be seen migrating in from their various destinations in great flocks down Highway 64 and 158, nesting in the comfortable McMansions along the coast, and feeding in all the local drive-thrus. As a special treat today, we have Ranger Harry Azcrac, a local expert on tourists and their migratory patterns. Ranger Harry works with the Tourist Wildlife Advocacy Tracking Service to monitor and track tourist movement and habits on the Outer Banks. Hello, Ranger Harry.
Hello, Hugh. It is the most beautiful time on the Outer Banks, tourist season. But unfortunately, it was delayed a bit due to quarantine restrictions. But I am glad to say that the county has seen the light and decided to open the boundaries to hundreds of thousands of tourists from pandemic hot zones to come down to our little community for a little relaxation and fun in the sun.
That is good news, Harry. Tell us a little bit about the Tourist Wildlife Advocacy Tracking Service.
Well, the Tourist Wildlife Advocacy Tracking Service provides the service to advocate for and to track the tourist wildlife.
Thank you, Harry. That really puts things into perspective. I understand you brought a few types of tourists with you today?
Yes, but we typically like to leave them in their natural environment. But on occasion, we do put traps out at Walmart and Captain George's Seafood Buffet for the purposes of tagging and tracking their movements. I have actually brought a few of my more recent captures. And here we have a droning Did You Know. They can be found throughout various locations throughout the nation and can be identified by their curious choice in clothing and their constant quizzing of local facts.
Did you know that the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse has 257 steps? 257!
It is thought that the Did You Know spends its winter months learning and cramming facts into its head for its inevitable vacation to the Outer Banks.
Did you know that Wilbur Wright had his front tooth knocked out by a serial killer with a hockey stick?
It's been observed that when two Did You Knows meet each other in the wild, they will have a dominance competition and try to out-know each other. Often these competitions last for days or even weeks until one eventually dies of starvation.
Do you know the very first distress signal from the Titanic was picked up on Hatteras Island? Of course, what do them knuckleheads on Hatteras Island know? Nobody listened to them. They wouldn't listen.
It is known that the Did You Know is full of trivial facts that can be easily looked and searched on a basic Google search. However, some Did You Knows choose to focus on a speciality and know some truly obscure minutiae.
Did you know that the George Washington branch of the Meekins family started in 1807? There was George Meekins and his wife Georgette. Then there was George Washington Meekins, and there was Washington George Meekins, and there was Boy George Meekins, and there was George Burns George Meekins, and there was
And
George...
here we have a snooty name dropper. It's a bit rarer to find in the wild. It's typically found in Nag's Head, Southern Shores, and Duck.
Oh, I only stay in Southern Shores. The people there are far more civilized and they have laws against locals who show face in public. I thanked David Stick for that back in 2006 when I had dinner with him.
The snooty name dropper typically associates with its own kind, rarely straying from its own territory. However, they will mingle with local celebrities and potentates, mentioning these associations amongst their peers for status.
You know, I was just talking to Corbin Bass Night about that. Do you know Corbin? No, of course you don't. You wouldn't know a Bass Night if you saw one. I know 7 of them, by name.
The snooty name dropper is highly territorial, however, especially the ones that visit Duck. They will not hesitate to call the local law authorities if they perceive you to be invading their territory.
Speaking of which, are you a resident? Because you don't look like a resident. Can I see your NRPO agreement? We're a gated community and we have to keep people like you out to keep our property values. I'm calling the police.
Gary! Over here! Gary!
Oh, well, here we have a screeching wahoo, which can be found in beaches, parking lots, and other public areas. They are known for their distinctive cry as they try to communicate and summon others of their own kind. The screeching wahoo must travel in large groups at all times. Science does not know why this is, as they have no natural predators, thus having no need to travel to the grocery store in packs of 7 to 12. The screeching wahoo must remain in constant contact with each other. Otherwise, it becomes aggressive and violent, often drinking 3 to 4 six-packs of White Claws before passing out on the beach.
Hello? You're on speakerphone. You gotta speak up.
We caught a young wahoo when we caught her mother. As you can see, where she gets her vocal habits from.
Yeah, I thought that you were doing me asking you if you were still on the phone.
It is the most wonderful time of the year, Hugh. We here at the Tourist Wildlife Advocacy Tracking Services are on the Outer Banks are glad that these magnificent creatures can once again come to our isolated community with no longer being restricted.
Wow, absolutely majestic. And I did not know that bit about Wilbur Wright. I'm glad we all get to appreciate such a natural display of beauty and serenity before our lungs turn against us and we sweat and shiver ourselves to death. For OBTV News, this is Hugh Jass saying, don't feed the tourists, that's how you get locals.